The transfer portal just opened up 24 hours ago, and the Texas Longhorns are already making huge steps forward. We're talking about some of the top running backs, the top wide receivers, and they're not even holding back, and they're going on the defensive side as well. They are making sure they get back to being a contender in the SEC, and not just being a college football playoff contender, but a national championship contender. And man, it's been insane. Let's go right into it. This is crazy. Cam Coleman, seen as one of the top prospects in the transfer portal, maybe the top in all position groups. A lot of people are having him pointed at being a Texas Longhorn in 2026.
If Cam Coleman became a Texas Longhorn, Arch Manning would certainly have a wide receiver one. I mean, this is a legitimate, red zone threat, 6'3", massive catch radius, 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns over the last 2 years on just 93 receptions. I talked about this, on a preview we did of all the top 5 wide receivers. He has 2 years of eligibility remaining, but I think he's so good you have to worry, does he leave before that eligibility is even up? This would be a massive get for the Texas Longhorns on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, that's a one and done thing in my mind. I think if everything works out the way you hope it would work out, then I think Cam Coleman's hitting the 2027 draft, and he's probably followed suit by Arch Manning on that as well. He's a freak athlete. I mean, this guy clocks sub 4.42 40s. I mean, he's got amazing route tree already. He's outstanding. I think the only thing that I'd probably give a little downside to is that there's been some drops in his past at Auburn, but let's look at the Auburn quarterbacks that were with Cam Coleman. They're not Arch Manning, right? Yeah. And although you might think differently of Arch Manning after how this season progressed, a lot of off-season hype last year about Arch Manning, and then he kind of started the season very slow. That changed at the end of the season. He really stepped up to be that type of quarterback that I think we all can expect, that being one of the top quarterbacks in 2026. Now you attach him to a guy like Cam Coleman. We're talking about Steve Sarkisian putting this team right back on the map, Nick.
Yeah, this is a not necessarily a necessary move, but this is a defining move, I feel like, from Texas. If they're able to bring in Coleman here, it really shows what the direction of this program, what they're aspiring for the next few years to look like.
They need a red zone threat. They need a guy that he can rely on, that Manning can rely on, and I think Cam Coleman fits that bill perfectly. This is a team that wasn't always the best on offensive productiveness, right? And when you look at what they scored 7 points against Ohio State to start the season. Imagine what they've had Cam Coleman in that game. It's probably different.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams will use running backs deep into the red zone, but look at what the Rams and Matt Stafford are doing this year. It doesn't necessarily have to be a running back. If you have a guy like Coleman out there, why not utilize him? I think Texas would benefit not only, in the entire football field on their half, but also in the red zone. Some, you can throw it up to him. You could hit him on some quick routes. This is a massive target for the Longhorns especially.
And wide receiver is not the only thing that they're attacking. And you just mentioned running backs. That's something they're trying to go after as well. Potentially not just the number one wide receiver in the portal, but the number one running back in the portal in former Louisville standout in Isaac Brown. Talk about 2027 NFL draft picks. You could potentially have a first round in April of 2027 that could consist of this. Listen to this, Longhorn fans. You could have Texas Arch Manning, Texas Cam Coleman, and Texas Isaac Brown all in the first round of the 2027 draft. That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Isaac Brown has the potential to be the top running back off the board next year, especially if he is the Longhorn in 2026.
Yeah, I think when you bring up that hypothetical, the question isn't about whether those 3 guys are first-round talent. It's about, do those guys become Texas Longhorns? And obviously that's what they're trying to do right now. It just shows you how much power those guys have. Isaac Brown, if you're not familiar, had 1,100 yards in 2024. I know that wasn't last season, but let me repeat that. 1,100 yards, not just 1,000, not 800, which would also be impressive, by the way. 1,173 yards in 2024. He had 884 this season, but on 64 less carries. You heard that right. So his yards per carry goes from 7 to almost 9. He had 18 touchdowns. The kid's got speed. He's got longs of 77, 78 over the last 2 years. He isn't a huge receiving threat, but imagine this Texas offense. If you don't need a wide receiver threat, if you've got Coleman, or a receiving threat at all, if you've got the wide receiver Coleman. And then you open up the run game with Isaac Brown. This could become almost like not necessarily a 1-2 punch because it's not 2 wide receivers or 2 running backs, but very similar in the fact that defenses are going to have to account for all the positions on the Texas offense.
Texas lost 4 running backs to the portal already. Trey Wisner being one of them as well, top running back for Texas last year. And then you're bringing in potentially the top running back in the portal to, dare I say, upgrade that position group for Arch Manning and for Steve Sarkisian at an offense that underperformed in 2025. This is a guy that maybe might be seen as an undersized running back, 5'9", 190. He's not the biggest type of player, but man, he is explosive. He has exactly what you need. And if I'm Texas, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that he signs as fast as possible. I'm not doing anything to change this relationship.
Yeah, I mean, in our prep that we did, this was one of the running backs that stood out the most to me. So if you're a Longhorn fan, this is one that I would be very, very hopeful for.
Yeah, and then they're not even slowing down. They're doing it on the defensive side as well. And you could even make the argument that they need the defensive help more than the offensive help. As much as you want to help Arch Manning make that next step forward, defensively, they struggled so bad last season. And it sounds like they're not slowing down as well. There's reports that they're interested in Auburn linebacker Robert Woodyard Jr. There's a couple of reports that they're looking at a couple other players as well. But Robert Woodyard Jr. is an impressive player. Super impressive. Last season had 67 tackles, 2 sacks, 7 tackles for a loss. I mean, this is a guy that really steps forward and could truly change the perspective of how we think about Texas's defense.
Absolutely. When you talk about what Texas's defense was this last season, I'm sure Longhorn fans are familiar, but for those of you who aren't, they were 28th in the country in points per game. For some reference, Iowa State was 26 and Washington State was 27. So you're right around that caliber of team. Are you telling me that's an SEC contender? Or are you telling me that's a national title contender? I hate to tell you this. Probably not. This is a move that I think Texas actually has to make if they want to be competitive on the defensive side of the ball, of course, but in SEC games. Robert Woodward Jr. this last year had 67 total tackles, 47 of them solos, with 2 sacks in there as well. He's going to make an immediate impact on this Longhorns defense, and it's a defense that absolutely needs it. In yards per game, I think they were 40th. I didn't even do the counting because I don't want to count from the top all the way down. I can barely count to 20. You want me to count to 40? Are you kidding me? This is in my opinion, this is a must get for Texas here.
Out of the 3 players we just mentioned, how many of them do you project them to go to Texas? I'm going to go and say over under at 2. I'm going to say right in the middle. I think they get 2 of these 3 players.
I think what you have to look at when you're, and that's actually not a bad pick, when you're looking at these players, where are they coming from, right? You've got Robert Woodward Jr. from Auburn. You've got Isaac Brown from Louisville. And you've got Cam Coleman from Auburn. So you've got 2 teammates that are already familiar with SEC play. But I will say the luster of the SEC is kind of changing, and Texas is certainly a part of that conversation. So I don't think it's the brand that it once was. I wonder if Isaac Brown makes the jump from the ACC to the SEC. I think that's a given. But I wonder about the Auburn players. Do they come together, and can they convince them both? I am going to go with the 2 of 3 as well. I think that if you can get Isaac Brown and package that with what Coleman is and kind of pitch them to each other of how good that offense can be, I think you can grab them both. That doesn't mean Robert Woodyard won't come over, but getting all 3 would be enormous for this team. If they do, great. And honestly, terrible for every other SEC team out there. But my prediction isn't going to be all 3, of course. I say 2.
I'm right there with you. I agree with those. Those are the 2 at the focus on, too, on the offensive side as well. They are absolute game changers. And one last bit before we head out of here, Cam Coleman's agent, Texas Longhorn alumni. Thanks for watching Marv and Rauh in the morning. Hey, if you want more daily sports content, we give you daily stuff live Monday through Thursday, 8 to 9 a.m. Central, 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern, and Fridays, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern as well. And then this bonus content that you're listening to right now, we get that to you exclusively on the YouTube channel. So be sure to hit subscribe. We'll see you back next time right here on Marv and Rauh in the morning.